We're getting nearer to Quiberon, you can see it there. Look. You can see from here. 16.8 kilometres away. Is everybody here?
Is it an island?
Do you want me to speak?
Yeah. Speak.
Shall I speak?
Speak. I like
do you know this place already? No.
No.
This site is called. There are three elements here. There's the Grand Menhir Air Gras, which is the standing stone. Now it's broken into 4 pieces. There were 5 pieces, and one of the bits has disappeared. That was an erect standing stone, which was approximately 21 metres long. A fifth of that would have been in the ground, and we hypothesised 17.4 metres out of the ground. 350 tons, and it's entirely sculpted. You can see the slice of it. It's the shape of what's called the Paleolithic Axe, and the rock has been entirely sculpted. So was it moved before it was sculpted or after it was sculpted? Whatever, it was 350 tons brought from the end of that island over there, which was a lot of work, unless they had very special methods, or unless they reconstituted it here in little bits. But anyway, that's the first object. There's an engraving on that stone. The second part is that. It didn't used to look like that at all. The official archaeologist, rebuilt the site like that to make it look like Gavrinis about 10 years ago. I think they made a big mistake personally. There's no evidence to show that this thing was covered over like this. All these stones that they used to build it, they had to go and get them from elsewhere. They're not stones from around.
Scoundrels.
So anyway, but that's just one part of it. But inside there is a chamber, there's a passage and a chamber like we saw in Gavrinis. The passage is shorter, the chamber is bigger, and the cover stone of this chamber is the other part of the stone we saw as the cover stone on the other monument. So these are brother and sister monuments. They're exactly on the same latitude. They're due east-west one from the other, and there's 4 kilometres, in other words 1/10,000th of the Earth's equator circumference between these two monuments.
The age is the same.
Yeah, they're from the same period, yeah, approximately. It's very difficult really to date accurately, because Gavrinis we know when it was closed. We don't necessarily know exactly when it started. This was started around 4,700 BC. There are traces here from 4,700 BC, which is a long time ago.
I wonder why the Egyptians think they're old.
That's it, yeah, this is 2,000 years before the Great Pyramids.
The standing stone that was carved, that they used part of it for the top floor, part for the top.
That's right, and the third part is that.
Do they think it was standing here on these grounds, maybe?
That's what they think. I don't agree with that. I don't think it was ever standing. I think it was a stone which was engraved and then split into 3 to build 3 separate monuments. But linked, you know, Trinity, Unity. Three stones on three monuments, but those three monuments then become part of the same monument, because it's the same stone covering. But their theory is, yes, that it was an engraved standing stone somewhere here. Now, to tell you the whole story, somebody came up with that theory. It was a revelation which hit him when he was walking through the alignment. Very scientific. And because he's a scientist, right? And so he said, yes. So what must have happened was there were standing stones, and then other people came along and smashed all that up and built their own monuments to show that they had power over the preceding. Although there is no evidence for that whatsoever, I mean, it seems quite clear that these are all contemporary monuments, they built at the same time, they're linked to each other. And so they did digs here, excavations here, to try and find the hole that this standing stone would have been in, because the original stone would have been 14 metres long, this one was about 20 metres, so they were saying, yes, well, there was one and there was another one, and they surveyed the whole place and never found that hole. That hadn't stopped them keeping that theory. No. The hole for this one, it's known where it is, but for this other stone, which they said was vertical and was smashed, they never found the hole, but they kept the theory. Now they did find other holes which are much smaller, they're not at all big enough. The holes they did find are not at all big enough to have been the basis of the stone, but they've made do with those. See what I mean? Yeah. So they're seeing these are the holes.
They don't practice selection, they just choose what they want.
They've decided what's happened, and then afterwards they just fit the elements.
Don't bother us with facts, our minds are made up.
Right, it's really unbelievable. It's true.
Made up. Yeah.
I'll show them to you. Now, 16, no?
It said 19 in this new and expanded version.
And the third element, I've just finished, the third element is this tumulus, which goes from the base, the tumulus starts at the base of the standing stone and goes 168 feet, 107 to this meters, sorry, and 107 meters to this diamond. Now this tumulus is at an angle of 18 degrees with respect to the north, which is very interesting, but I'll come back to that at some point.
Wow.
So should we get a bit closer?
The stone is really broken.
So that's the bottom bit.
You know this guy John Martin
no, I don't think so. But Gavini's is over that way. Maybe. You can't see Gavini's from here. So this is the foot, this is the base of the standing stone here. Now you see all these stones along behind it? They're the representation of the holes that were found when the excavations were done, which showed that there was a smaller alignment.
Right.
But none of these holes are big enough to have put in the stone.
And so where was the stone?
Well, there's no answer to that, but what they say it was here.
Right.
But it's not possible. So on your right here you've got three other bits of the Grand Menhir. So when it was standing, this was vertical and all these bits were on top of it, which means that when it fell, well, these bits fell this way, this bit fell this way. When it fell or when it was pulled down. So this looks like Gavrinis, but it never used to. No, it doesn't, does it? No.
They're messing with history.
Oh yes, there's the monument itself. It's just the stuff they put over the top. But the corridor you're going to go down, and the chamber at the end is original, 4,700 BC. And here there was an opening here, and then you've got this thing coming down here, and at the bottom here you've got indentations or cupolas, which represent the Little Bear. Really? The constellation, yeah. So there's some relationship here between something happening coming in through this axis here, some sort of energy being related. They put the stars on the bottom of the stone.
Right. And a hole here. Is that like a little navel stone?
You think that's what is that?
Well, they're called, those indentations are called cupolas.
Yes, cup marks.
Yeah, cup marks, that's it.
Well, my immediate association with this was the Nazca lines. And it's just an association, because you can...
But there's similar engravings on the ceiling of the...
Yeah.
That looks like a kitty cat on the bottom.
Whose horns we could see on the other stone at the top.
So this is the same rock?
This is the same rock, right? That's the width of the...
My God.
You see how big it must have been initially.
And this over here is the
Now
famous...
here, this is the
axe plough.
this famous, yes, axe plough thing. Of course, here they're ploughing the sky, because it's
Hence the plough.
roof is in the sky, and there's a central point. You see, there's a sort of round, circular bit, and so this plough is turning around that.
Oh,
So the
Like
sky
plough.
is being ploughed by something.
I wonder what that could be.
so that's the old churning of the mill.
Yeah.
The navel or the nail?
The nail.
The nail.
Now you see these stones have been added to. That's the initial stone, that's concrete. These three stones here and lights up this stone. Now it's very difficult to see anything on this now.
It's like graffiti.
Yeah, that's a graffiti from the 19th century. Yeah. But in fact, this stone is probably a summary of their knowledge at that time of the sun's movements. Now, it's very difficult to see. I've got photographs of this dating from the 19th century. There's a centre of gravity on this stone, and there's a sun around here, and there's a sun shape on it. Now you can hardly see it now, with rays coming off it. You've got a lot of sort of sheath-shaped forms here, like somebody's in the light from the door. If you could move back a bit, we'll see them. Look, there's one. There's one. There are 54 altogether of these. They're on 4 levels. 1, 2, 3, 4. The sun is at this level here. Right, that's where there's a sun. There's a central band here. Now this stone supports the roof stone. This stone, the roof stone, was held on 3 spots here. Here, over in the corner there, and probably this one.
Lovely. Yeah.
Right. All this other stonework you see dates from 10 years ago. All this stonework around here dates from 10 years ago. This was open. You could see outside here.
Yeah, or it's like Pentrafanos.
Right. It's much more like a tomb now.
Yeah.
You see. So there's a central band here, and on either side you have these sort of like.
Oh right, scallops, like that shape up here, the extension of the.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. And this way they come over this side. Okay. And in this middle shape, now it's very difficult to see on this. It's unbelievable how the stone has lost in quality. It's gone green, and it was white. But in this middle shape, you've got a kind of, from the sun down, you've got a sort of 8 shape here, which I can show you on a 19th century photograph. And then in the middle here, there's a kind of U, like that. There's a form shaped like this, and like this. Okay? And then there's a sort of angle to it like this, coming around here like this. And then the shape of the stone itself. Now what we've put forward is that the height of the sun here corresponds to the height of the sun in the sky at midday on winter solstice. This angle corresponds, on the U here, corresponds to the height of the sun at equinox, and the top of the stone to the height of the sun at summer solstice. So the angle, you see, it's the angle of the sun's movement brought down to the same length.
Very interesting.
And there's another element, is that this 8 shape from the sun here and the sun up the top, with here, this gives you a sort of 8 movement, which is the actual movement of the sun in the sky